Freedom Radio Hour. Live on Capital Radio 91.6 FM.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Freedom Radio Hour. I'm your host, DJ Adam Cruz, and I have my fantastic co-host right here,
Eddie Nicholas. What up, beautiful people, and welcome to 91.6 FM, the heartbeat of Sedan. We're so glad that you chose to tune in with us today. Adam, what's going on in the world of music and news?
Oh my gosh. I feel like every time we're coming together these episodes, there's more and more. It's sort of an avalanche of information and news that's coming, and I'm delighted to see you. So first, let's take a moment to let our listeners and our viewers know that the Freedom Radio Hour is here, not only giving you fantastic music, but we're here to be your number one source for music business news and trends from around the globe. Of course, getting right down to it, we have to talk about it. It's all in the news. Russia. Russia.
Russia with Love. The only thing I know about Russia was the James Bond movie, To Russia with Love.
It was so mysterious, right? Anyhow, well, Russia has been very much in the news here in the States, but around the globe, you need to understand, in the streaming game, in the streaming wars that we call it here, Russia is very, very much popping. What do I mean? Well, in Russia, they have their version of Facebook. It's called VK, V-Contact. And what V-Contact has done is just announced that they have started and installed an in-app, fully licensed streaming service. What do I mean? They basically taken a huge bite out of any possibility that Spotify might have had to enter into the Russian market. You see, currently, Apple Music is the only other outfit that's really in Russia. So Russia doing its thing, they have their version of Facebook called VK. And VK has announced that they are launching their own streaming service for 149 rubles a month. You can get unlimited access to their service. You know how much that is in the US?
$10?
$2.60.
Oh my goodness.
So $2.60.
Rubles.
Now you can get access to their entire streaming catalog, and it's fully licensed. Let me give you a little backstory. First of all, some basics. Again, VK is Russia's version of Facebook. They have 100 million active users. They're direct competition in terms of the numbers to Spotify. They too have a free and a paid. Okay? So what they're trying to do, they tried to launch a while ago, and they ran into a lot of legal trouble. Why? Because they were sued by the three major labels here. Warner, UMG, which is Universal Music Group, and Sony. Okay? And the three of them sued VK for copyright infringement.
Okay.
The following year, after following that lawsuit, Sony was the first one to settle out.
Okay.
Okay? But the other two, UMG and Warner, held out. They were holding out because they wanted a promise from VK that they would monetize the content and create like a fingerprinting technology so that it would prevent this copyrighted music from being re-uploaded. Kind of like Content ID here, right? So basically, Content ID says there's this ability for us to track and trace all of the music that's on YouTube. We have a system where if there's a request, you can take it down, boom, done. Well, in Russia, the three labels sued them for copyright infringement until they enacted a similar kind of technology, right? So as the years went on, because this lawsuit was initiated in 2014. The following summer, 2015, Sony settles out. They held out. The other two hold out for a while longer until 2016, where they finally crumble and decide to settle as well. So what happened is very interesting. So by Sony settling out first, they sort of end up being the lowest benefactors to a good deal. What do I mean? All of these deals that were signed between VK and the three labels, all are around $7 million a year for over a 3-year span. So that's $21 million between the three of them that they're going to make for VTech to be able to use the material. But Sony, because they settled first, they got only $2 million. The next two got $2.5 and $3 million respectively. So in other words, it's interesting how we always talk about how come they're not all on the same table? Because they don't all have the same legal teams. One is evidently more talented or savvy than the other. But at the end, all of this has been settled out, and now all of the music from these three major labels have been settled out, and they're being available through their service. But it's at $2.60 a month. That's a fraction even of what we're charging here in the U.S. And we're complaining incessantly about that lower amount. Let me kill it even further. You remember Columbia House? Mm-hmm. How they had CDs, you could, for a penny, you could order a certain amount of CDs as long as you promised to buy a certain number at full price?
Uh-huh.
Well, SoundCloud has gotten into that whole game. They just announced, SoundCloud, that now they want to offer for a penny, or excuse me, for $1, you get unlimited access to their entire streaming catalog for 3 months. What did I tell you about the devaluation of music? I know! And you know what? At this point, it's like these are the things that happen that are out of our control now in the music biz because we've allowed technology giants to dictate how this is going to go. You see, now music is this thing that's like a gimmicky marketing tool. You want the music? Oh, here, it's for $1. Unlimited access, 3 months. It wasn't like when it first launched. It was like the highest price, $20, $15. Have you noticed it's going like this?
Down to the ground, baby.
Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to break down more about what's happening with the devaluation of streaming music and more around some very valuable things. You know, there's a company out there that's willing to give you money by allowing you to put their music up on their website for sale.
Oh, put their music.
No, you can put your music up and you can make the money, but they'll pay you in advance.
Oh.
Let's come back and find out more. Right here, where?
91.6 FM, DYMusicRadio.com, y'all.
Freedom Radio Hour. Live on Capital Radio 91.6 FM.
What up, beautiful people, and welcome back. I'm Eddie Nicholas, and we're so glad you are joining us on 91.6 FM and DYMusicRadio.com. I'm here with my co-host, the one and only Mr. Know-It-All.
Hardly. Mr. Adam Cruz, and you're live and direct right here on the Freedom Radio Hour. We're your number one source for music, business news, and trends from around the globe. Before we broke, I was giving you the dismal news, at least in terms of artist royalties.
Well, you know, you started with the thing with Russia, with the VKs, and all of that, the VKs, the DKs, with all them Ks. And then we went into SoundCloud and what SoundCloud is doing.
Which is basically taking, and I know you and I have talked about this at length, that we had to be careful when we got into digital music to begin with because we allowed Apple to dictate the prices. They came up with this 99 cent per download through their marketing team. We, as labels, went, okay, and we allowed them to devalue the music at that level. And as Eddie has always said, we cut ourselves off at the knee at that point, right? Why? Because it's like any job you get. If you start at a really low salary, you can only go up incrementally from that point. So it behooves you to try to get the most money at the door, right? The initial, so that when you know the raises come but so much, at least you started from a nice place, right? A nice floor, if you will. We started way down here.
And it keeps going down, and down.
Further down, right. It's not increasing over time, which is what the intentions we keep being told that if you allow the music to be available in all these sites, you are going to make more money. You see, outfits like these labels and YouTube and other streaming services are very proud to boast that through their free tier, like YouTube, like Russia's version of Facebook and others, they say you're making money because it's ad supported and we cut you guys off, break you off a little bit per view.
You use the operative word, 2 words, 3 words, a little bit.
A little bit. And then the fraction goes a little bit further down, a little bit further
because
down.
You know, we talked about what is a quarter of a penny or something like that, and it's probably even less than that.
To be honest, the figure as it stands now roughly equates to about 0.07 cents per stream. So that's for the fraction of a penny. So it's not a penny. It's less than a penny.
That's it. So you know how many streams
you have to get. That's why when you talked about it in the last episode, why Mr. Pharrell Williams, when Happy was a huge hit in the States and around the world.
And he only got what?
He got like $9,600 in a check, but he got
under $10,000.
Millions for streams and views of his video and the song. So this is why that happened to him and all of these other
and
artists.
that video he probably cost more than what he received in residuals.
Well, and so this becomes really
problematic. And they got sued for millions.
Well, that's the perfect segue because since we're talking about Pharrell, we hadn't planned to discuss it, but we might as well. So Pharrell
with his
had to
fashion sense.
Yes. Pharrell Williams had to deal with the song Happy and suing YouTube, and just like that came and went. What does that mean? They settled out of court, and we never hear hair nor hide about what happens after that. Why do we want to even care and know? Because we want to know the end of the story. What was the settlement like? Why did he settle, knowing that that fraction of a penny per stream model would remain? It's not like he upended the industry through his fight or his lawsuit. So we'd like to know more, Mr. Williams, if you're willing. But further than that, him and Robin Thicke are co-writers on a huge hit, Blurred Lines. We've covered how they lost in a lawsuit against the estate of Marvin Gaye, who claimed that essentially Robin Thicke and Pharrell Williams copied the groove from Got to Give It Up. Got to Give It Up is a huge Marvin Gaye record. They allege that Robin Thicke and Pharrell Williams took that. First, they said they sampled it. It wasn't. Then they said that they were so influenced by it as to have copied it. So then it became the debate about inspiration versus copying. Okay, that's copyright infringement versus being inspired by a groove or a beat. Well, they lost the case, meaning that Robin Thicke and Pharrell Williams' attorneys had to prepare to pay whatever compensation or share in the royalties to this song. Well, just recently, they've come out to say that the appeals brief has come back to say that you cannot copyright a groove. This is not like a sample. This is not like taking your voice, cutting it up and using it. No, this is the groove of something. And I think that's a good finding, because I feel like nothing's new anymore in terms of creativity. Whatever we're making in music or what have you, it's already been done. And it's not to burst our bubbles and say that we're not creative beings or we're not original. No.
It's about how do you take that sound that you have heard and intricately intertwine it into what you're doing to make it your own. Because like you said, all the beats, all the sounds, all the music, all of that's already
inspired
out
by
there.
Something, right?
And everything is inspired by something.
And every groove that you come up with, you could sort of find a derivative, a root of where that might have come from elsewhere earlier in time. So I argue that nothing is original. So if we start from that premise, then that lawsuit, that argument in the appeal wins, because you can't copyright a groove, a vibe.
Well, they have to pay that money back.
But no, from what I understand, the way it works is that they don't actually issue payment until the appeals process is exhausted.
Oh, so they're still waiting for money.
Right. Well, they're first waiting for a decision. And then that will
from the appeal.
Payment.
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Let's take another break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about what a company might be doing to entice you to put your song on their website, and they'll even pay you in advance. Right here, where?
91.6 FM, dwildmusicradio.com.
Freedom Radio Hour.
And we're back live on Capital Radio, 91.6 FM, the heartbeat of Sudan, and on the web at dwildmusicradio.com. You're deep in the zone right here on the Freedom Radio Hour. We're your number one source for music, business news, and trends from around the globe. I'm Adam Cruz. I'm here with my fantastic co-host, Mr. Eddie Nicholas.
Peace and love.
Yes, and we're doing our thing talking about music business news. Let's get right back to it. So right now, if you're an independent artist, you know about such services as Bandcamp, which is a website that allows you to put up your own music, track your own payments, receive it directly without having to use an aggregator, which is a fancy term for a website that puts it out on all iTunes everywhere, but they take from you before they give it to you.
Now, speaking of that, even though I haven't used mine in over a couple of years, MySpace did the same thing.
Yes, MySpace did actually, I would argue that a lot of what you see in social media
comes from MySpace.
Yes,
very good. Yes,
it does, because that really was the sort of breeding ground, the guinea pig of what we see now, what we enjoy in social
and
media.
especially, I know when they started, you were able to sell your own music from there. They were one of the first. So
yeah, and I even remember that you were not only that, you were also able to design your own look on your own page until it got crazy and they stopped that. If you notice on Facebook, you can't design the look of your page very much. It's the same color scheme that they have, and they killed that because they knew that allowing users to design their own pages created a quagmire in the coding, and it often crashed MySpace back in the day, so they didn't want to repeat that problem. But anyway, what we noticed is is these independent avenues that exist for us putting music out. One in particular, if you want to have your music available on, say, iTunes or Rhapsody, Amazon, and the others, Spotify included, you can use a service called TuneCore. We don't necessarily endorse any one service. We just want to let you know what at least a couple of them are. If you simply Google services, iTunes, and such, you'll find all of these different outfits that exist. One in particular, like we said, is called TuneCore. TuneCore, Eddie and I have used before. And what you do is you pay for a single, it's like a certain amount, say $10. For an album, it might be $20, right? And it's good for a year. What does that mean? Once you submit it and you release your single, in this case, in TuneCore, single means one. And we're in house music. A single could have 6, 7, 8 mixes, but not in the TuneCore world. That's considered an album in their world. Okay? So you pay the price accordingly. You put it out, it's available for the 1 year, and then it drops, and then they remove it. There's also a free service where you don't have to pay. That service is called Fresh Tunes, and Fresh Tunes is similar to TuneCore. They will aggregate out to all these particular websites, but evidently they take on the back end. So anytime you make some money, they take a little. Whereas TuneCore charges you up front, and then they leave you to your own devices. Okay, so as an independent artist, you can decide for yourself, look up those two and search even more. But why are we talking about this? Well, TuneCore has figured out, we got to do something to up the ante a little bit.
For people to use their service.
Yeah, because you have the Bandcamps in the world. CD Baby is very, very popular. They too do the same thing as TuneCore, essentially. So TuneCore said, okay, wait a minute. I know one thing that artists always say they want: money. They want it in advance because they want to maybe offset costs for production, studio time, a musician, video costs, whatever. So TuneCore has developed what's called TuneCore Direct. Now they have a certain eligibility requirements, so you have to earn a certain amount if you're using their TuneCore service, right? But let's say you pass the threshold of what they think is eligible. You are now eligible through their banking systems to get an on-the-spot advance. And what they'll do is they'll put that and they'll charge it against your account, against future earnings. So they'll see some of the eligibility requirements include sales track, history, etc. It's a following, all of those things that you know would be important for a company. Once you pass that test that they have, they'll issue you an advance. And several $100s from what I understand. And what they'll do is they'll give that to you ahead of time. You do what you need to, then they'll take it off from the money that's being earned from your sales. Now, this doesn't work for me because I noticed that
you saw my eyes going up in my head.
It doesn't work for me because my people that were interested in buying my music, they don't buy it through iTunes by and large. They'll either buy it through one of our big dance music websites like a TrackSource or Beatport, or directly at Bandcamp. But they're not really buying my kind of music necessarily through iTunes very much. A little, not very much. So that's not TuneCore's model around advances is not going to work for me. Why did you roll your eyes?
Well, I roll my eyes because when you talk about advances, first of all, let's get back to the criteria. What is the criteria for the types of artists and bands that they're looking for that are going to say to them, oh, we believe in you so much. We see that you have X amount of, in other words, how many followers do you have to have?
Yeah,
in other words, with the followers, they're talking about how many guaranteed people do you have that will purchase your material if it's on this site.
Right.
Therefore, based on the number of people that we see that you have as followers, we will give you an advance. So that's where that's coming from. So a lot of times you may put stuff up there and don't earn a thing. But
I think for them, that's precisely what the model's not. It's not for that artist. It is for the artist that uses the TuneCore system relatively frequently and
has a big fan base.
Yeah, and so it is about followers, but more than that, it's about sales history. Because you know that you could have a bunch of followers, but if they're not buying the product, they're just following you and not supporting you through dollars. Okay, that's all the time we have today, but we're going to talk more about the importance
of... Yes, we definitely got to get back to this.
Yes, because I want to know who else out there besides TuneCore, and much kudos to you, TuneCore. We want to investigate further why the artist that necessarily isn't garnering those big sales, how they too can maybe take advantage of a similar model. Have you, TuneCore, ever considered the possibility of micro loans? You ever heard of that? This sometimes works in other countries where they provide small loans to small businesses, really small loans. And this helps.
You know me. I say let's get back to where it's a direct sale. You want the product, you get the product from me. Boom. Get rid of the middleman.
But then you need money. That's where the advance comes in. You're like, oh, I don't have money to finish the record. I don't have money to finish the...
That's why they got GoFundMe pages. We'll be back.
That's all the time we have. Thank you for listening. Capital Radio 91.6 FM and on the web at...
DeWildMusicRadio.com. Peace and love, y'all.
Check out EddieNicholas.com, DJAdamCruz.com, and leave a message under everything we're posting at FreedomRadioHour.com and pick up our free app. Google Play, App Store, search us out. Free for Android and iTunes users. All right. Have a great weekend and a great weekend. See you next time.